is it runs like it draws each and every pixel we mention, rather than having Android or iOS, rather than telling Android and iOS that I want a button, it draws that button itself. In that way, it is different from every platform. And since it is drawing everything by itself, we see on all platform, we see similar graphics and similar UI. I guess that answers your question.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe you can continue.
Yeah. Right. So moving ahead, why should you go ahead and learn Flutter? We already just had a discussion on cross-platform. Next, we'll talk about the performance of an application that you built on Flutter. So the performance of an app built on Flutter is nearly as good as that of a native app. By native app, I mean that if you want an application to run on iOS, you will develop it in Swift, and if you want your application to be on Android purely, then you'll develop it in Java. With Flutter, you can actually build an app that shows you as good as of performance as in the native apps themselves. And there's a large open source community. As I said, you can go ahead and have a look at Flutter, flutter.dev. There's the documentation section. There's a very detailed documentation for each and every possible issue or thing that you might want to look at. So that's a great plus point. And then it's easy to get started to learn, and that I think you'll obviously understand at the hands-on session part. Okay. Okay. So Gagan,
Yeah, so let's talk about Flutter alternatives.
yes.
Uh, so Flutter is not the only way to develop applications for different platforms. So I'll discuss what alternative would be better and why we are talking about Flutter. So first we'll talk about native. That would be developing specifically for one platform. Uh, I might add, native is the best in terms of performance because
Yes.
uh,
There's no beating that.
yeah, because Flutter is a layer on native. So you have to run with native. You cannot run faster than native. So for a particular device, native performance is a constant. But problem with that is you have to maintain two code bases for Android and iOS. And if you are willing to support for Windows, Linux, and stuff like that, you would have to maintain code bases for them as well. There won't be any any sort of advantages you will get for supporting multiple platforms. So that is the only main issue I could find for native.
Yes.
But the thing is, for each platform, there might be some more disadvantages. But we'll move to React Native, which could be considered the closest competitor of Flutter. It came before Flutter, so
Yes.
and
And it's
just
by
like Flutter,
Facebook,
yeah, just like
another
Flutter,
software giant.
it's an open source library, and instead of Google, it's by Facebook. Since it was released earlier, it has more developers, but the thing is, it has slower performance compared to Flutter, and it does not support Windows and desktop platforms. It has a poor developer experience, hard to get into. Uh, I, for myself, have in my life just one successful React Native build. So yeah, very poor developer experience. Next up would be PWAs. PWAs me being progressive web apps. These will be developed in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are very popular for web-first companies. But the thing is, they have very slow performance. I would say slowest of all of them because on top of running native, it is running over another layer that would be the browser layer, and on that it is running the PWA. So all these layers cause slower performance, and many features are locked. That means you cannot access those features which are not available on browser. That's why PWA won't be very efficient approach if you want a specific hardware feature.
I have one question.
Yeah,
Yeah, is the file structure of Flutter similar to Java FX and Android?
actually, I'm not particularly into Java front-end side development. So, can you elaborate what the file structure is down there?
Okay. Wait.
Okay, so I think you're trying to ask like what would be the file structure difference kind of
So,
with an Android application and a Flutter application, right?
what I do know is they maintain dependencies in Gradle files, right?
Yes, yes.
So in that case, we have pubspec.yaml files in Flutter instead of Gradle files. And instead of writing Kotlin code, we write Dart codes. And file structure would be quite different because Java generally tends to have one class per file, and activities are complicated matters. But Flutter runs does not really leverage itself into that one class per file this concept. So file structure is expected to be different.
What do you
Yeah.
mean by Gradle?
It's a build tool for Java applications in which you maintain Android dependencies. I
Okay,
believe
okay.
that's the difference. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Maitri, you can continue.
Oh, I think you were going to
All right, no
make up the
problem.
slide. Okay.
So the thing is, where to use Flutter? Uh, so we have talked about all these alternatives. So where would you like to use Flutter? So first thing would be if you have a small budget and time frame, it's perfect because you have to maintain one code base, and you can just throw in a bunch of libraries and make a pretty impressive MVP in few weeks. Next step would be graphics. If you have a lot of animations in your application, Flutter does support high quality animation at 60 hertz refresh rate. With some tweaking on the lower end, you can make it 120 hertz, but it is not supported in the types of app Flutter is used to make. 120 hertz is more supported for gaming, but you can. Since you have to maintain only one code base, you can get by with smaller team size and limited number of people and resources.
Thanks. Now, just before we go on to the hands-on session, I'll just take up the industrial experience and the advantages you get when you actually invest your time and effort in learning Flutter. First of all, you can get some really great projects within a shorter period of time, if I might say. So, just a personal suggestion, like you can actually start with very simple applications that they don't necessarily need to have an out of the box idea or something. So for example, a counter application or money management or your college marks applications, image viewer or uh, resume app or whatever. There are a lot of things that you can start with, and as and when you like create your base around all of the basics, you can add a bit more like advanced features or things like Firebase, authentication, online databases, online storage, Google Maps, app notifications, uh, external packages, and whatnot. And like once you have some good projects in your hand, you can add it to your resume. It not only enhances your skill sections, but you'll have some good projects you can boast about and talk about. And once you have them made, you can upload it to GitHub, add it to your LinkedIn profile, and even even more of an added bonus would be if you actually go ahead and deploy some of these applications on the Play Store and share it with others to install. So that that actually is the cherry on the top. If you go ahead and do all of this stuff, and then obviously once you have a good resume and a set of skills, you can apply for many Flutter internships and freelancing projects. As we just were discussing, many of these startups or people who have some good ideas in their mind and have some like UI in place, they actually look out for interns or for freelancers who can build their projects in a smaller time period, which can be done by Flutter quite easily. Like we have ourselves worked in a startup ourselves called Rise. So like even if after this time you spent some time investing in Flutter and you want to take a next step, you can obviously contact us, and we'll give you few contacts. Like there are a lot of freelancing and internship opportunities that like I have worked myself. And yeah, so that's a good thing, and you'll obviously uh, get a chance to have some pocket money of your own. So I, and like it's not only with Flutter, to be honest. Even if you go ahead and do that with any other language or any other thing, it's just good to have a few projects on your profile and resume for your for building your career. So I think that's a really good thing. But yeah, Gagan, you can take it ahead from here.
All right. So how do we go about making a Flutter app we are talking about here? So the thing is, first you would need an idea what the problem is you want to solve, what solution you come up with, and what sort of flow that would be. You have to design your application, what the screen would look like. If it's a personal project, you can just use pen and paper, jot it down. If it's a project with a team, you might want to use a tool like Figma or Adobe XD to scaffold your design. And this is basically job of a designer. But if you're working on a small team, you have to be the developer and the designer. So tools like Figma and Adobe XD are free and help out a ton. Next phase would be code. This is what we'll focus on today's session. So coding would be writing down. So you see the UI on your screen that the designer has designed, and you have to code it into the UI. So you have to make sure the designer, what the idea designer had in his mind, his or her mind, you should be able to see it on your code. So that is what a Flutter developer, being a Flutter developer, is all about. Next step would be test and deploy. You have to test your application. You have to test individual sections. Just for example, if you're making a Facebook clone, you would have to test the like button. Then you would have to test the whole post. Then you have to test whole feed and then the whole app. So testing would take a lot of time. Then you would have to give these your app to many people for testing,
Yeah.
what we call alpha and beta testing. We'll give them to people we trust, and they'll test it and give us feedback. And once we are satisfied with our product, we'll deploy it. You can deploy it on App Store, Play Store, Microsoft Store, or on web. Deploying on web is fairly simple. It's like deploying a website. I guess that is it on how to make a Flutter app. Anybody has any questions before we move on?
During the presentation, I saw MVP quite a few times. What is that?
Minimal viable product. So once you have an idea, you have to present it to investors for them to put money onto it. So minimal viable product is a piece of software. Any for any product, it is just to show the investor that this is the thing we want to build, and this is the thing you are investing into.
So it's not
Yeah.
like the final product that you're about to launch. It's just a brief idea.
No,
Mm,
no,
yeah.
this is just a scaffold that we want to make this.
Okay.
and
Yeah,
basically
not
this is our
yeah,
idea.
yeah. Also, like many startup companies or many companies that want the first version of their uh, product. So basically, having an MVP means that you only have the main feature or the main selling point of your application, and once all of that is done and you are started and like you have a few installations and you have more time and budget, you can go ahead and like work on some other features as well. So but a MVP is a minimum viable product. It's the basic requirement of your application.
Okay.
That answer. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
All right, so we'll begin with the coding part of this session. So I'll present my screen. Let me know when it's visible.
all right.
And also let me know if I'm talking too fast.
Yeah, please.
So my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the app we will try to make today. So this is basically a card that shows my information. It has my photograph, few icons, just some UI stuff. UI being user interface. So this is the thing we are going to make. You guys can uh, code along, and at the end we'll see who made the best card, right?
We
Uh,
can do it on VS Code also, right?
Yes.
yes, actually, Maitri uses Android Studio and I use VS Code, so this is
Okay,
quite
okay.
You can
a
use whatever
rivalry
you
here.
want.
I would also like to see count of people who are using VS Code and compared to who are using Android Studio. So
I
uh,
have one doubt.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, so I ran the Flutter Doctor, and it's saying that there is a component missing with
Android licenses.
no Android licenses I took, but then with the VS Code one. Wait, I'll just run it once again.
Yeah.
I think
Did
I
you try to search it on Stack
can you
Overflow or something?
Yeah, I did.
can you
I
present
wasn't.
it?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, and I guess till that time, everyone else can also go to their terminal and just type out Flutter Doctor and see if everything is set up.
Yep. Okay.
It's being shared, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think there was an error. It'd be quite weird if there isn't now. 1 minute. Yeah, this one.
This is it. Uh,
I think, do you need to install a plugin for C++, something like that? Maybe it's a plugin issue with VS Code.
I'm not
we sh-
using this.
hello. So Visual
Yeah.
Studio is the default development sort of extension by Windows. I think it is installed by default on all versions of Windows since I guess Windows Vista. I don't see why you don't have it. Probably some of you uninstalled it while not knowing.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Oh,
I
Okay.
didn't think it
too
was
bad.
important, so I just. Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. So Visual Studio Code is the thing you are understanding it to be. Microsoft is not very good at
but
naming things.
actually, I downloaded it again. Think 1 second.
Uh,
Visual Studio Community, right?
Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code, just Visual Studio.
so Visual Studio
This
Code
one?
is the IDE, and
Yes.
Visual Studio is different
Is
from
it this
from VS
one?
Code.
Uh, this is the first time I faced this issue, so I don't think I would be able to
Yeah,
help
even I
much.
haven't seen it. You can just try to copy it and then search it on Stack Overflow.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't
Yeah.
understand it. I mean, it works without it, so I think it's okay.
So
If it does, then good. uh, and there's an unspoken rule of software development. If it works, just leave it.
Okay, so I'll just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So I guess we people here know how to open up a terminal in
Did you
any
teach the
folder.
installation part of this Flutter?
The thing is, I'm using Linux here, so I don't think many Linux users are out here. So I won't be very helpful in that case.
So like if we would have started with the installation part, it would have taken a lot more longer. But
Uh,
yeah, but we
if you go
can
to
guide you
Flutter
to
dot,
flutter.dev and there's the docs section where it says get started. The link was also in the chat. So you can go ahead and follow the steps for your OS. If you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux, I'll send the link one more time. I think there are more people now. So like
yeah.
if not, I know the installation will take time, so if you think that you'll not be able to do it, just have a look at what is going on and try to understand the code. uh, if not,
Okay.
like, yeah, I would suggest
Yeah,
you we should
I think
try to.
if I sat here installing it on Windows, it would take at
Yes,
least 2 hours.
yeah, that would be a separate session in itself. That's why we had it sent in the prerequisite for the session. But
All right, so I'm here in a folder. I want my project to be created. It can be any folder you like. So here, if I have installed Flutter correctly, it should show Flutter Doctor. So I'll just run this quick to see my setup is complete or not. So let's see what problems are here. First off, this is cool. I don't have, I haven't accepted Android licenses. This is not something I would require for now, so I'll just leave it. As you can see, it is not error, it's a warning, so you can ignore it. Here is an error, but it's for Chrome. So as I told you, Flutter does support web. So you would require Chrome browser or Edge browser to run it. In Linux, there's only support for Chrome. I don't have Chrome on my desktop, so it's showing that. You can ignore it if you are not developing for web. I have Android Studio. I have IntelliJ IDEA. I have VS Code. So these are three options for you to develop in Flutter. IntelliJ IDEA, I won't recommend for a beginner because setup is quite tedious. Android Studio or VS Code, you guys can install. And let's start. So first thing I would require to do is run Flutter Create and the name of my application. So I'll name it example for EX. Just EX would be fine. So as soon as I press enter, you can see it is creating this for me.
and
And
What
you
is
can
the
here
command you give?
Flutter
Flutter Create
Create
and
and
then
the
your
name of your app.
project. Yeah, and
Uh,
you can also do this directly from the IDE itself, from Android Studio. As far as I know, you can just click on create a new Flutter project, and then you
yeah.
can follow the steps.
So if I go to Android Studio, sorry. Mm, so going on Android Studio, just close it. So if I
New
go to new window, right?
new Flutter project. New project.
Oh, so I haven't installed Flutter plugins for Android Studio. That's why.
Yeah. So
To do
yeah.
that, you would require.
So for those of you who are on Android Studio, just click on new Flutter project and not on new project, because that will create an Android project.
Flutter Create works for all platforms
Yeah.
everywhere.
So
So if
we
you are not
would
seeing
suggest
that
you to use
option,
Flutter.
so just put this here. So I have it. So if I press ls, you can see this ex folder is here. So this is where all my code lives for this particular application. So I'll just cd into this folder and I'll write code dot. So this is basically me opening this folder in VS Code.
Yes.
You can just go into your file explorer and just sorry, you can just go here and open folder and open it up this way. But I just did it from terminal. So let's just look at the file structure here
Wait,
for a
wait.
second.
Till now, like those who are following along, have you been able to create a new project and open it in your IDE? If
Uh,
someone wants us to wait, then you can let us know, else we'll continue.
I have some problems with this. I'm not sure what to do.
Can you let us know? Can you present?
Yeah, yeah. Am I presenting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So in the terminal, when I ran Flutter Doctor, these two were the cross marks.
Yeah. So you can ignore licenses part. And I told you, if you open up Android Studio and go to SDK, just do it right now.
Okay.
Uh, just open up Android Studio. Yeah. So
In the SDK
go
manager.
to more. Yes, SDK Manager, SDK Tools. Yeah. So you would have SDK Platform Tools,
Yeah, that's checked.
Command Line Tools, latest, third one.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. You'll have to apply it and close this terminal instance and open a new instance for it to work. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So anyone else?
Yeah, I had an error. Oh god, it went somewhere. Okay. Failed to start Devtools.
Just share your screen.
Share. Is it being seen?
Yep. Now it's visible.
Yeah, this one.
This starting. Yeah, you can ignore it. What
Okay.
does it say? This pub spec for activated will contain. Can you show me the folder structure? Yeah. For now, let's just ignore it while we run
I think
and
this
this.
looks fine.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
While we run, if this shows a problem, we can solve it later.
Yeah.
So I think we
Uh,
can get started with the actual development now.
uh, everybody comfortable?
Good. Yeah, I think everyone's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
So I'll just make this place ugly. So this is the folder structure here. So you can, so this is the folder I've created. I named it X in Flutter Create. That's why it's called X. Whatever name you put here, that would be here. So inside this folder, we have all these subfolders that we'll discuss. Just a second. Sorry, I have a dry throat. So we have all these dot hidden folders. You can ignore them. We'll start with Android folder. This is a folder that contains files specific to the Android platform. Unless you know what you're doing, I recommend not touching this folder.
Yeah, so I think there was a question on the difference between an Android folder structure and one for Flutter. So, the folder structure that you have for an Android app when you're developing in Java or Kotlin is the same that you actually see over here. And for example, if there are some Android specific files or some Gradle properties that you'll need to change,
Yeah,
that will happen in a few cases, like as you go along. Right now you don't need to touch this code. And similarly we have a folder for iOS as well, right?
I recommend not touching this
Yeah,
folder, but I'm touching this right now. So as you guys can see, this is an Android folder and this is an Android app right here. And what is it doing? It is just telling the Android platform that this is a Flutter app and you don't have to care about anything. Flutter will handle everything. All right. You don't have to touch Android folder unless you are told to
yeah,
by a dependency or something. Here in iOS folder, similar story. This is for platform specific things for iOS. Uh,
yeah.
the web folder
Hmm.
is quite similar to Android and iOS folders. That is, you don't have to touch it unless you are told to by
Yeah,
some
so yeah,
by
so there
documentation.
might be very few cases where you'll need to modify these folders. For example, if you want to add the app icon, so maybe you'll need to add some files in iOS and Android, but that is also mostly fairly simple. So only in few cases you'll need to handle or open these folders. Rest, apart from that, we're good.
Yeah, like if you want to access camera, so here you would just have to mention in one of these files that this app can access camera, and that is all you have to do in
Yeah.
Android or iOS folder. So we have discussed all these folders. You might be wondering where are the folders for Windows, Linux, and macOS. These are features that are behind facts. So and once you start building for Windows with a terminal command, it will show up here. But by default, it's only for Android, iOS, and web. Live folder is a folder where all your code lives, and test folder is for testing a specific part of your code. So we'll do most of our work in lib folder. You can ignore all these dot files. It just says ignore. Uh, and the only file we care about here is the pubspec.yaml
Spec.yaml.
file. All right. So this is basically all the metadata about your application, what its name is, what version it is, stuff like that. So here I named my application X. So here it is, and its description. Doesn't really matter. You can put anything here because it doesn't show up anywhere else. Just to give a description to your team members. That's it. This is the version of our application. So this is the first version, 1.1.1. So every application has a version to it. So this is that version. What environment we are using? So this right here is the default environment version as of now. So this is the version of Dart, the programming language we're using. So even programming language has the version. You can just put it like this, but I'll leave it to default.
To the phone, yes.
Dependencies, what sort of dependencies we are using? Flutter itself is a dependency. Therefore, we are telling it Flutter, SDK Flutter. You don't have to change this unless you have a very specific use case, and those don't tend to show up. Uh, Here we have a dependency already installed. That is Cupertino icon.
Yeah. So
Uh,
this is the list of packages, right?
yes, a package is a dependency.
Yes.
So as I told you, Flutter is a open source language. So these things called packages that are sort of extensions to your code, so you don't have to write them yourself. So for example, if I want to add camera functionality to my application, so I'll go to this website, pub.dev, and go to camera, and here it is. So you can see this dependency. So this is telling me how to install it. Uh,
Yeah, so basically there are a lot of external
yeah,
packages that you can add to your Flutter
yeah,
applications. So one of this is camera, and then you can have a package for, I guess, fonts, and like for even for some UI elements, for example, for animations, or if I want to add some 5-star rating, or if I want to add an OTP pin checker and whatnot, like whatever requirement you think
yeah.
that will be a lot of code for me to write, you can actually go on pub.dev and search for that uh, feature, and it will show up a list of external dependencies that you can add. Just take that name, it says here camera version
You can
0.9.4.
just click on this
Yeah,
copy icon here and
and just
put it right below.
yeah, and just add it to the list of
You
your
have to make sure
dependencies.
its indentation is right here with Cupertino. All right, indentation means this spacing right here. So I don't really need camera, and installation process is quite long. So let's not do it. Uh, Dev dependencies are dependencies that won't be shipped with your applications once you build an APK for Android or whatnot.
I think
Uh,
you won't need to change all of this, right?
yeah,
The only
for
most important part is the dependencies and the package part thing,
yeah.
right?
So we are not we are making a fairly simple application, so we won't
Hmm.
need any help from any dependency.
Yes.
So that is it for folder structure. Now we'll just jump into the lib folder, and here you can see the main.dart. So whenever a Flutter application runs, it runs this file, and within that file, this run app. All right. So to explain, Flutter widget consists of a Flutter application consists of things called widget. Give me a second. Yeah. So how do I zoom in? Oops.
I think it's visible.
Now this is awkward. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
I did something. Never mind. So a Flutter application. Oh,
it's okay. You we know that you're trying to create a box, and in that box you'll have some more boxes, and all of those boxes represent a widget, right?
what? uh, okay. Now we are going somewhere. So Flutter application. Let's talk about the Flutter app. So consider this an application. So this app itself is a widget. All right. Widget is how we divide our application in Flutter. It's a terminology,
Hmm.
and within
Or
that,
you can call a widget a building block for your Flutter app. So
within
everything
that,
in Flutter is a widget, and a widget can have more widgets in it. It creates a widget tree, and that's how you have the
within
application.
that app, you have many screens. So each of these screens is a widget, and each of these screens might have some text into it. That text would be called the text widget. The button here would be called the button widget. So basically everything is a widget. And you can see if I have an app here, it has multiple screens, and that screen might have multiple buttons. And inside that button, we might have text. So you can see we are getting a tree right here. So this is what we call a widget tree. And this is how Flutter structure its applications. Any doubts?
I think we are good.
Okay, cool.
Nitesh, did you have a question?
No, no, I was just telling that it's clear what it is.
Okay, cool. So here, as you can see, this my app in itself is a widget. All right. This is a widget that we have created in this code. And there are multiple widgets that Flutter provides us. So basically what our app is, widgets that we create from the widgets Flutter that Flutter provides us. All right. Okay. I'm assuming it's all right.
Yeah, it's
So
sorted.
here, okay. So here, I'll just remove all of this code because we don't know anything about it yet. So to make our own widget, we have two options, stateless and stateful widgets. Stateful widgets are those which have data attached to them that can change. We'll just talk about stateless widget for today since we don't have a lot of time. So to create a stateless widget, you have to create a class. I'll call it app, right? And that would extend stateless widget. All right. So what this is doing, stateless widget is something that is provided by Flutter to us. Here, I'm importing Flutter material. So this is a basic package you have to import in every file. So here, I'm saying this app widget, it's a stateless widget. All right. And in this run app, instead of my app, I can run app, just app. So I'm creating an object of this class. Are you guys getting it?
Yeah.
Why did you
All right.
remove the constant?
All right. So constant. There are some classes that are called mutable and some are immutable. Mutable classes are those which have data attached to them that can change. And here, since I do not have a constructor for this, this cannot be basically VS Code cannot tell if it's a mutable class or not because I don't have a constructor for it. We'll just remove this because it's unnecessary tech jargon. This
Yeah,
would run
got it.
just fine without const or with
This
const. All right.
const is like the constant keyword,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Okay.
For defining variables, we use const as well. Here we put it in front of anything to make it constant. I'll remove all of this code because I have much better way of creating widgets in Flutter. Oh, just a second. If you are on VS Code, you have to go here and search for extensions for Dart here and install it and search for Flutter and install it right here. So the thing is, it would already automatically prompt you to create this. Sorry. To install these extensions, if you open up your application in VS Code, in Android Studio, it will do the same, but the extensions UI might be different there. It's fairly simple to navigate though. So here you can see, as soon as I type ST, shows me options for making stateful widget or stateless widget. So if I just click on this stateless widget option, it would write all of this code for me. So this is one of the benefits of using Flutter. You get a lot of code written for you. So I want to name this widget app, but if we are getting spicy, we can write it Gagan app. And see, when I type here, it automatically gets updated here. That's the feature Flutter is providing me if I use stateless widget. So now you can see here it already provide me this const word. So now if this is const, I can put const here as well. An app and const. And I can remove it as well. It just shows a blue line to me, but I can ignore it. Unless
I
it's a
don't
red
think you
line.
need to worry about the const keyword that much
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So unless it's a red line, it would
Yeah,
work.
don't worry.
So here you guys can see this has a build method onto it. So a build method is what returns a widget. So as I told you, a widget is made up of more widgets. So this is what that is all about. This widget is made up of more widgets. And now here we'll tell it what kind of widget it is made of. Clear?
I
Any
think
doubts?
at this point you can even run the app and
Yeah,
have a
but
look
it
at
won't
what.
show anything.
That's fine, I think.
All right. So I just save it right here, and you can go to your terminal and type Flutter run. But if you are on VS Code and you have installed the right extensions, you can just click on run and debug and select an emulator you have created. If you don't have any emulator,
Gagan, I think you're not audible. Is it only for me? Can someone else confirm, please?
No, he's
No,
not.
he's
yeah,
not
he's not
audible.
audible.
I can't hear him. Eva.
I think you should remove your earphones, but because you're not audible still.
Okay, now I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
So when I open up Android emulator, it does that. So I was telling how to create an Android emulator for yourself. So go to Android Studio. Wait for it to load up. Okay, just let's just ignore this thing. So if you go to this icon right here, it says AVD Manager, Android Virtual Devices. You can create a new device. Select whatever device you want. You don't have to pay for it, so just create a Pixel 5. So next, create what flavor of Android you want. Next, and finish it up. I won't do it because I already have a Pixel 5. Here,
I had one doubt.
yep.
in one of the resources it said that you have to change the graphics to some accelerated or something like that
Uh,
instead
can
of
you tell me
automatic.
where?
I'm not sure. Oh God.
I think that would be a specific for web applications. If you're trying to support for web, you would
Okay.
require
No,
that.
I think it comes up in the emulator part somewhere. Accelerator. I think you can go ahead and maybe uh, I'll choose an older version of Android. I think sometimes that helps. It's been long since even I installed an emulator.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not a
But
required
yeah,
setting.
I remember there's some fix on the net somewhere. So just try googling.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. With that out of the way, so you guys can see I have run this application right here. So I'll just reduce the size of this window. It's visible still, right?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, cool. So here you can see I'm trying to run an app that is called Gagan app, and it's returning a container that's empty. Container is the one of the widgets that Flutter provides us, and since it's empty container, it's not showing up on screen. All right. So if I want something to show up on screen, so there's a widget that Flutter provides me that is called a material app. I click right here. You can see a material app is created. Flutter application, sorry, every Flutter application uh, has to be a material or a Cupertino app. Generally, we tend to skew towards Cupertino material app. Sorry, differences are very little, so I don't think we really need to talk about those. So I've created a material app inside this.
Yeah. So basically, if someone is wondering, Material app like provides you widgets and options for an app that looks more like Android-like, and for if you use Cupertino, you must have heard the word Cupertino in for the Apple headquarters or somewhere. So basically, the UI components will be more like Apple-like, iOS-like.
Yeah, but at the end you can change it whatever you want,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter. So
So
if I
we'll go
press
ahead with
Control
the
space here inside these brackets of material app, it will show what options I can have. So here I only care about home. So in this application, I can have multiple screens. So this home option would be the first screen that would open up. All right. Uh, if you guys have any doubt at any point, you guys can let me know. So inside this home, I can provide another widget that would be the first screen of our application. So for any screen, there's a widget called Scaffold that can provide you a screen, a body, a head, that is the app bar that shows up on top. Let me just show you.
yeah.
Scaffold is a widget that is provided by Flutter, just like Material app.
Hmm.
And inside it, we have multiple options. Uh, so if I just press Control space inside Scaffold instead of inside Material app, you can see the options have changed. So what do I have here? I have, anybody was saying something?
No, no.
All right. So I have options like background color, body, bottom navigation bar. The thing would that would show up here. Like in
Have
YouTube app.
you started the app? Have you run it?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it will take some time the first time
Uh,
you do it.
actually, It is running.
Okay, yeah, it's running.
So earlier it was an empty container, so it showed up black. But now
Yeah.
that I've added an app and a screen, it's showing up a white screen, which is the default background color. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
So just to simplify, the in the build you have the material app. It defines your app, and in the material app there's a property called scaffold. So that defines your screen. Now in the screen we want to add different things like the app bar, the bar that comes up at the top, or in the body, what all contents you want in the app. So now we are going to define those. So
so
now,
if
yeah.
I want this screen to be red, so I can define a property called background color. So I'm just doing things like uh, pressing control space and selecting options from here. But I can obviously type it myself like background color. But it's much faster to just select whatever property you want. So if I go here,
I have a doubt.
yes, sure.
Yeah, so am I meant to run debug and run it each time I make a
No, no, no,
change?
no.
No, no.
So
So it
right
should be
here,
updated, right?
you can see here are the options. Uh, this is
Hot
hot
reload.
reload and this is hot restart. So if you have made minor changes to your UI, you can just run hot reload. But if you're working with an application that has a lot of data in it and you want to reset that data instead of just resetting the design you have made, then you have to run hot restart. But you do not have to run and debug more than once.
Yeah, I
To
think this is one of the best, like you can say, advantages or features of creating your app in Flutter. You can just make some changes, save your files. Don't forget to save it if auto saving is not on, and then click on hot reload. So whatever you changes you do in just a matter of seconds, it will show up on the screen. I think
so
that's what we are going to do from now on, right?
yep. So by default, there's also a setting that if
Um,
you save your file, it'll.
my screen isn't white.
Do you
Why?
have scaffold here?
And material app.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
saying there's an one second.
yeah, you can just present it. That would be better.
Yeah, just a moment. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Should be now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the code and the screen.
So as you can see, there is an error in your code.
Yeah, the semicolon is missing after
Not
return.
only the semicolon, I think there's a circular bracket missing as well, closing circular bracket.
So this is for remove it from here.
This
Above
one.
it, I think you'll need to
Uh, Remove that
remove that
semicolon and
semicolon.
put it in line 16.
Yeah, the
Right?
brackets can be a bit
Yep.
confusing, so always look out for this like automatic commented thing that like now that you have completed the brackets, it says material app double slash material app. So it just gets added on its own, and you will know that which widget is ending on this bracket. So it will be easier for you.
Semicolon on line 16.
Also
Yeah.
add a semicolon, yeah, because
Okay.
after
And
return, yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay, great. Yep, it works.
okay, cool. So
Is anyone else facing any issues? If you guys are following along.
No.
all of you can see this white screen, right? This sad white screen.
Yes.
Okay. So let's make it a bit happy. So I can change the background color of this screen by changing background color of this scaffold. So I'll press on background color and colors dot. And now I have all these options for color. So I just press blue and realize blue is a sad color as well. So amber is yellow. So as you guys can see, I don't even have to press hot reload because I have a setting VS Code that allows me to hot reload basically whenever I save it.
Yeah. And like
Okay.
if not, you can always click on the
Yeah.
hot reload button in your
Or press
changes.
Control F5. So here I have background color. So what we are making today would be just a second. Thing today. Basically a card for your introduction. I think I mentioned it earlier. So this card has background of white, but we can play around. This time I'll try it out with gray. And here, as you can see, as soon as I save it, it turns gray.
It's even sadder now. Please.
Okay, I'll make it happy later. So now the screen needs a body. That is the bulk of the screen. So if I just press body here, so you guys have to make sure a comma is present between each property. So I've defined background color. After that, I have to put a comma. This is basically the syntax. So if I go here, I have to provide a body. So in this body, I can provide any other widget. So I'll provide here a card. Card is a widget that is provided by Flutter. And if I save it right here, it won't show up anything because a card without any substance to it won't be visible. Similar to how a balloon with no air is not visible. Therefore, if I press Control space again, I can see all the things I can mention for it. Child. That is what I want inside this card. So inside this card, I want some text to show up. So that text would be for now. Hello. And you guys can see that text right here. I don't think it's visible. So by default, when you're writing something, it's always on the top left side of the page.
Yes.
So that is what Flutter is doing for you. By default, it's putting it on top left. I want it in to be in on the center. I want this card to be in center. So there's a very neat trick right here. If you click on card here and press this bulb icon, it shows a lot of options right here. What I want is I want to wrap it in a widget called center. There is no, okay, right here, I have option for center. If you don't have this option for center, you can just wrap it with widget and name the widget you want. So I'll name it as center. Now you can see this hello is in the center. If you don't have this bulb icon showing up, what you can do is you can just type it out center
I think
and you
if
would
you
have,
have all the correct plugins and all of that stuff in place, you'll have it
yep,
show up always in like VS Code also and Android Studio as well.
yep.
So
So
it's very easy that way.
so in this case, I just typed it out myself. You guys can ignore these blue lines. These are just linting options. Again, same effect. So now my hello is in the center. what I would want.
Can you
So
format
let's
the code once? It doesn't look neat.
uh, what I can do is now it's better. I'm just telling to ignore this. So if I go back to what we were trying to make, so this basically is a white background, a card, a colorful card, and if I break this UI into parts, this consists of two portions, the top portion and the bottom portion. So these are vertically stacked on one another. One is top of another. So this is a sort of a column. All right. So if you want things to line up vertically, you would need to put them in a column. So the widget that is required to put things into a column is called a column widget, very conveniently. So if I want my text widget to be in a column, I can just press right here and I have one option for wrap it in a column. And as soon as I press it, you can see this is in a column. Cool. You can ignore this line, those blue underlines. So as you can see, this had child, but this had children because a column has multiple widgets stacked on one another. That's why it has children, and this is a list of children. Inside this square bracket, you can mention as many widgets as you want. So for example, this lovely app, if I want to say hello, and if I want to say bye, another text widget, bye, and now it shows up right here. So as you guys can see, this is a very long column, and we don't want that. So besides children, we can have multiple other properties for this app, uh, for this as well. So if I go right here, inside column, not inside children, and press Control Space, I can see all these options available. Cross-axis alignment.
I think you can just change the main axis size to min. That would be easy to
So
understand.
in any sort of formatting, there's a main axis and a cross axis. In case of column, since we are stacking things vertically, that would be main axis alignment. Vertical would be main, and horizontal will be cross. So by setting main axis size, I'm setting the vertical size, and I can put it as main axis size dot min.
Minimum.
This would try to get minimum space. And as you can see, this is the result we were expecting. I want this to spread. So axis alignment, cross axis being horizontal. I can write cross axis alignment dot stretch. And if I do that, this is working as expected. Now I want some distance between this area, like some sort of padding, as we say. And to put padding, where do I want this padding? I want this around my card. So I'll go to this card right here and press the bulb icon right here. And I have an option to wrap it with a padding. As soon as I click it, it generates code for me. And I can change the value of padding. As you can see, this is this padding showed up. And if I put 20 here, oops, 20 here,
Padding.
access would
How did you get
increase.
the padding?
Oh, all right. Anna, so I would want that inside my card as well, right? So I'll explain it here, right here. I want padding around this column. So I'll go to this bulb icon. Right here you will find a wrap with padding. And I click it.
And there's a property called padding inside padding, which takes a value, and like agent sets dot all means that this padding will come like across all
All
of the
four
sides,
sides.
like on above the column, below the column, on the right side of the column, and on the left side
Instead
of
of all, you can also have left top,
yes,
right bottom,
yes, this will
or
be
you can have only
symmetric.
only one side, or symmetric, horizontal and vertical defined.
Yeah.
But in most of cases, we just use edge insert dot all.
Yeah, so if
Uh,
if you like ever want to change something, like you want to experiment on what all properties are there, just like click on dot and you'll see what all is available. And like inside a widget, if you're wondering what all can I change, so you can always like click on control space and then you will see a list of all properties you can change in
so
there.
like in card here,
Yes.
we have a border property, elevation that is shadow,
Yeah.
the margins we can give it, the shape we can give it.
Let's try to add some color, please.
Yes. So I'll go to colors dot indigo. Light blue would be fine. Yep. So now this works. The inside card I have provided a color. Uh, everyone clear at this point? Till this point, sorry.
How did you get the padding inside the body, the
Uh,
initial one?
around this
Around the card, do you
card.
mean?
No, just above it.
Yeah, so I clicked on
Yeah, yeah,
card
around the card.
and this bulb widget and padding.
Sometimes it's not showing that.
No,
Like
It
this is
It's
should
showing
it
showing
three
should
options.
show every time. Then I think you should check that you have all of the opening brackets and closing brackets
you
and
can wrap it
commas.
around widget.
Current.
It's showing the bulb icon or not.
Sometimes it doesn't show.
You have to click on this card right here. Means your cursor
First,
should be right
yeah,
here.
Oh,
first click on the widget itself, around which you want something. Then that
Yeah, the cursor
bulb
should
will
be
show
there.
up.
yeah,
Cool.
got it.
All right. So let's go back to what we are trying to make. So we are trying to make this thing. As we divided here, we have created two vertically stacked hello and bye. So this hello would become this area, and bye would become this area. So let's work on hello part. So now this is horizontally stacked. So here I would like to put a row instead of a column. So I'll press this ball right here around the text and put a row. Now you can see this is a call. This is a row inside a column.
Column.
All right. You can make tabular structures like that. So just for
I
hello
think you
journal.
can add the photo next.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I've put a row. Therefore, here it shows X govern. So side by side. Next up, I would want a photo right here. So the thing with photo is you would have to create a folder right here. So it should be the root of your project that is beside, not inside, but beside all these folders. So I'll call it photo folder. Oops, I created a file instead. Let me just delete it. Create a folder right here. New folder. I'll name it photo, and here we go. In my file explorer, I have a photo of mine right here. I'll just copy it. Uh, Open this thing up in a new folder. Open this up in my file explorer, and in photo folder, I'll paste this. Alright, so this is now in my exe/photo folder. So now this is a asset I want to add to my application, and any dependency or asset you want to add, where you have to add it in your pubspec.yaml file. If you haven't changed anything, you can go to line 61, uncomment all of this stuff. Go to uncomment. You just have to select this line and slash, and this will show up. So now what it's saying, this folder doesn't exist because you want this folder. So this is photo slash 0.jpg. All right. So whenever you add a new dependency to your project, sometimes you do need to uh, rerun your application. Sometimes you don't. To be on safe side, I'm rerunning it. All right, I have to open up this to run it. So it will take a few seconds.
Till then, like you can replace the text with the
Yep.
image.
So here, if I want to place an image, I'll call image widget and dot asset. All right. Once I do that, I have to provide the path to the image. This image is in photo slash 0.apg. As you can see, this photo shows up right here. So next up, I would like to change its height. So if I press Control space here, I have all of these options. The one I'm looking for is height, and I'll give it just 30. Let's see. Okay, it's too small, but I can change it anytime. I'll give it 50. 80,
This looks fine.
100, whatever looks good. All right. So hello, and that text said I'm Gagan, so I'll just type I'm Gagan. If I want this to show up in next line, I can just format strings. Okay, cool. And now right here, we have the basic structure. In row, I have a property called main axis alignment. So I want this to go onto that side. So in main axis alignment, I can change the alignment for horizontal side for row. So in main axis alignment, I can tell it to space between and save. And you can see now the text is on one corner and the image is on the other. If I want to change the size of this text, in text widget, I have style, and I can provide it a text style. And just like any widget, a text style has many properties. I'll just give it a font size property of 30. Okay, cool. Let's see, what does that look like? Quite similar. So this image needs to be circular. So to make it circular, just like any widget, I can wrap it another widget. So I press wrap it in another widget, and I want it to be clipped into oval size. Just a second. Oh, okay. So I'll just type clip oval widget, which is a widget provided by Flutter. I'll press on clip oval, and now this is circular. Everyone following to this point?
Yeah, I know some people who are following, and like, don't be shy to ask any silly doubts or something. Please just ask if you have any doubt somewhere, anywhere. Okay. And we'll try to wrap it up within the next, I think, 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, we
We
just
already
need to
have
have an
image.
icon and just a few details. Just copy paste, copy paste.
Yep. So we right here have the top part of our app done. For the bottom part, I'll just replace this text with. Let's see what does it look like.
I have
So
a
it's
doubt.
another card. Okay, continue.
Yeah, my style and height is there's an error in that. Do I need to import
Sh-
something?
can you share the screen?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
my camera is not on. Mitri when mute.
Yeah, I just did. Sorry.
Yeah, it's visible.
Just a second. Yep.
Yeah.
So height is
Okay.
a property that is for image, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you are putting it inside children's. You have to put it inside
Yes.
the brackets for image.
So how is that?
Uh, put the comma back. Uh, go inside the brackets. That is end of quotation mark for JPG.
Here, right?
Yeah. Put a comma beside that end of quotation mark because we are introducing a new property. Yes. Press Control Space now. Yep. It's showing up height.
And this one would be.
Uh, you're putting this for row, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a row cannot have text style. So
Yeah. So it
remove
should
this.
be this one.
In Yep, same
Okay.
process. Put a comma beside quotation mark and
Yeah.
done.
Um. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can stop sharing. So is my screen not visible?
It
I
is
think it
visible.
is.
Okay, cool. So we'll go back here. Next up, what do I want? This is a card inside a card. So uh, in this column, in this children side row, I want a card. So I'll just type in card, and I want its color to be white. So I'll go to color property here, colors dot white. But the thing is, it is somewhat transparent, right? So if I click on white here, I can go to with opacity and provide some sort of opacity to it. 0.5 sounds good.
Yeah, zero
It
point
won't,
0.5 will make it 50% transparent.
yeah,
Sorry, 50% opaque.
and it won't show up just yet because I don't have a child right here. So let's do that. Child text.
I think you need a column, right?
Yep. Let's just test it out for now.
Okay.
So we have a hello right here, and as you can see, this background is somewhat transparent. You can tweak this number to from 0 to 1. wherever the sweet spot lies for you. So here, what I want is a column. These are stacked vertically again. So I'll just wrap this thing in column. Go to this text and column. Wrap with column. Okay, cool. Now want what I want is this is now horizontal an icon and some text, and these are horizontally stacked. So for horizontal, we have just established
Use a row.
wrap with a row.
Yeah. And then for icon, we also have a widget called
Okay,
icon. So
so
there are with material, I think we get a list of all of the Android icons out there. So you can directly use it in your app. You don't need to add any package or anything.
for now, let's just put in email right here instead of hello text, and I want this icon to show up before my email, so I'll put it before text widget. And for icon, appropriately named icon widget, and this takes in what sort of icon you want. Just like color, you want colors dot something. Here you want icons dot something. Here you can see all these icons available. What I want is the mail icon right here. Let's use this one. And if I save it and see it, yeah, so this is visible as Gavin dot mail. Uh, Next up, we want something similar for my phone. And so the thing is, if I want some gap between these, I can just put a box between them, and that box is called size box. I can put some width or height into it. In this case, I need some width, and I'll put 20 right here. I have some distance.
It looks great. I think we just
Uh,
need to add the other two things is copy pasted, right?
yep.
And we're good to go.
I've added some padding to this column just like we did earlier. So let's just copy this row because we need this row again, but just with different styles, different text values. So save. Here you can see three things, three rows. Next up, I want my phone, so I can change the icon to phone icon. Here, I'll put phone number here. Oops. When did that happen? Yeah, we were right here. Here, I can put a phone number. You can see this changed up. Next up, I would want to change this to
Location.
something like location, whatever icon you like.
Yeah.
For example, I'm in mood of this icon. Put it right here. In this text, I would want my address to be, so it's Delhi, and I guess that is it.
Yes.
Yeah, you can add some more UI elements. Like there is a widget called divider. Sorry. So you just put a divider between these two rows, and it would just put a very uh, small
Certain
distance.
line, yes.
I can put a divider right here as well, and that is it. Anybody has any doubts?
No, I
Yeah,
think
this outline part is again coming in red. I don't know why.
Present your screen.
Yeah.
Like, let us know if you guys have any doubts or is anyone done and would like to share what did they make.
Is it
Uh,
visible?
All right,
can
so
we
there
use
should
Flutter
not be
Create?
space. It's underscore.
Okay. I didn't see that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
So are
I
you
think,
ready to show what you made?
yeah,
Okay.
please share the screen again and show us what did you make.
You can take some time to finish it up.
Yeah, I just put the mail part. So that's all that's
All
there.
right.
Okay. I think
Um,
Siddharth was saying something.
Yeah, I was just saying, is there any like level of app that we like, like upper level that we cannot use Flutter for? Like, can we basically use Flutter for building any kind of app?
Okay, there are certain use cases in which I don't recommend Flutter. If you are trying to call native methods being if you are like making a Snapchat like app in which you use a lot of camera and use a lot of data from camera to make those filters, I don't recommend Flutter for that. If you're using making an application like Uber, which uses a lot of maps
Location. Yes.
and location and stuff, I don't recommend it. But if you're making an app like Facebook, which basically just uses camera for capturing photos, you can go ahead and use Flutter. If you are making a video call app, it's just using camera, not using a lot of data from the camera itself.
Hmm.
You can go ahead and create it in Flutter. Basically, if it's not something that is using specific part of hardware in a specific way, you can use Flutter for that.
Okay, okay. Okay.
And what?
Anyone over here having any more doubts? Please get them clear or type them in the chat box.
Yeah. Please feel free to ask anything. And has anyone finished or would like to show? Like, we would love to see. Gagan has been speaking for an hour or so. It would be nice to see if anyone followed along or made something, or even if it is in progress, that's fine.
yeah, so I'll just show what I made.
Yeah, great.
It's not so attractive also. The color is
It doesn't have to be. Can be
it's the dull
whatever.
gray color only.
It's okay.
Yeah, so wait, I think it's sharing. Yeah, so that is what I
Hey,
made.
that's good.
Yeah, that's all. The
Okay.
rest I wasn't
Yeah, it looks
able
better
to.
than my first app.
Yeah, this is yeah, definitely better than my first app too. Oh, nice, thank you, Tana, for sharing. Anyone else?
It's okay.
Please don't feel shy. We have made worse apps, even if it is in progress or anything. And like Gagan, would you like to share the steps or just a demo for uploading it to GitHub?
Yeah, uploading it to GitHub would be fairly easy, like any other application. Just
Yes.
you would have to go to github.com,
Okay,
create a
so
new
I would
repo.
just.
Like, are you? Will
No,
you
no,
show
no.
it or?
Please continue.
So I'll give it an oh, good. I'll create a repository,
Are you
and
sharing your
after
screen?
that,
We cannot see your screen.
now this is weird. Okay, uh, I'll go to github.com. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, yes. Click
Okay,
on new
github.com. I'll
repository.
create a new repository, whatever name I want to give it,
Hmm.
and create a repository. After that, it gives me steps. Get in it. I'll just copy it.
Go to
Yeah, I'll
terminal.
open a terminal. Terminal, new terminal. Assuming you have Git set up, You can just git init, git add dot to add all the files. Git commit. Just copy the steps from GitHub website. So what I created a commit and changed my branch to main because GitHub doesn't use master anymore, so it's more convenient. Add this thing. Uh, right, and
Git
next up,
push.
this is the last step.
And even if
Uh,
on GitHub, like you don't want to share a personal project with anyone, but still have it on GitHub, you can like keep on making changes and adding it to GitHub. It will reflect on your profile as well. I think your profile history or something, those green dots, something that people look at and recruiters and all. So that's a good thing to have.
so yep, as
Again.
soon as I did this command and reloaded this page, you can see all of the code that I wrote there.
You can
It is
open lib and we
available
can see
right here.
the one file,
Yeah.
yeah, main dot dot. So it's over here. So that's how simple it is to upload on GitHub.
So I would
Uh,
like to wrap up by
Yes.
thanking both the speakers. Thank you very much. You were very supportive, very cooperative, and you've made us learn something very new and innovative in very less time. Thank you very much.
All right.
And all the attendees, guys, before leaving, see the chat box. We'll be sending attendance link shortly. Please wait.
Okay. So is it the attendance link? Okay. Everyone, please fill that up.
Could you share the repo in the
Yeah, yeah,
chat?
definitely.
Yeah, thanks.
Gagan, you're on mute if you're saying anything.
nope.
So in the README also you can like basically take screenshots and upload it to GitHub and create a nice README for your project. That also looks really good. So all these things right now I don't know how relevant are like they're relevant for you, but in the future, like when you'll apply for jobs or internships, your GitHub profile will be really important. And just have a good readme variable, name your variables nicely, and all of that stuff will be helpful in the future. Okay, any doubts? If not, we'll just wrap it up. We are almost on time.
How can we get in touch with you, Gagan and Maitri?
Yeah, definitely. So I think LinkedIn for me works best. Just go to LinkedIn and search Maitri Sundi, and
Same
I'll be
here.
there. You can drop me a message anytime. Like, we also have a WhatsApp group for new Flutter people, right?
Yeah, but only admins can message on that.
No.
Yeah, I have the group open in front of me.
Okay, it must be different. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so Core, you can add me and Gagan to it. So if there are any doubts, I don't think we are in that group yet. Can add us if yeah, there are any doubts, you guys can ask us there, and have a look at the GitHub repo. I think it will be a good reference if you are trying to complete it later on. Yeah, I think that is it.
Karthikeyan has a question. Good sources for learning Flutter. So I myself learned Flutter by reading the documentations. Flutter.dev/docs. You can just go on to get started section and start reading up from there. and keep making projects. That's most important point.
I think the best way to learn is to do it yourself, and the documentation. And I think the Flutter YouTube channel, it has some really cool and interesting videos. Like in my free time also, I sometimes end up looking at those. So it just introduces you to new packages and widgets and all of that, and I think that's also a great way to learn. So the official documentation and videos, I would say that they're also enough. Okay, anything else? Okay, all right. Thank you. You can add us to that group, message us on LinkedIn or wherever, uh, and you can be in touch. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the session.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for joining. Yeah. All right, bye. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. It's very interesting session.
Yeah, shall I end meeting for that? Okay.